Swing and a drive, left field, get up, oh, get out of here,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Flight Deck Podcast. It's just Connor again. Nate couldn't make it, and Brant, everybody's favorite. Who's his guy? Miles Straw, Nathan Lucas guy. I have no idea who his guy is anymore. But on the IL, currently with a concussion. So Brant get well soon. He joined George Springer and then subsequently left. George Springer left. He's by himself in the IL concussion now. So Brant, we'll see you next week. But I had to give you guys, I'll hold you down with another episode. And two series, obviously Dodgers and Cubs. Now, going into it, we knew they were going to be tough series, obviously, and they were tough series because it was two playoff teams. One in the Dodgers that was skating a little bit, and the Cubs offense has obviously not been the greatest thing ever in the last little bit here, and they've been sliding to the Brewers. Well, sliding is a rough way to say the Brewers are beating the Brewers are just the best team in baseball, and it's not even close. But yeah, I'll go through these quickly. We got game one of the Dodger series, aka Unkwood. One of the greatest pitching matchups that will probably never happen again. Max Scherzer and Clayton Kershaw. And two old dudes that delivered. Kershaw went, if I'm not mistaken, they both went around 6 innings. Max Scherzer gave up 2 earned runs. Clayton Kershaw only gave up 1 earned run. Like, that's what more can you ask for? Also, Max Scherzer rounding into form at the perfect time to start to go into the stretch run here. You did get a little roughed up pitching wise with the bullpen in the Dodgers series. Game 2, the Jays lost that one 5-1, and Mookie Betts decided to kind of show up again after finally not doing anything for a long time. But yeah, that was game 1. You then go to game 2. It's Chris Bassett on the road. We ain't need to say much against, and it's Blake Snell against the Blue Jays. Blake Snell, historically phenomenal against the Blue Jays. Chris Bassett, phenomenally bad on the road this year. And to be fair, 4 2/3. It's not great, but 3 earned runs, 6 hits. But Yariel and Sir Anthony Dominguez did give up the stuff in the back end of the bullpen. But the only upside of that game, Ernie Clement hit a bomb, and that would come into play the next day. And we get into a game that I just dub how. Like this it's a game. The game 3 of the series, Lauer versus Glasnow, a game the Jays typically you think they don't win because Eric Lauer only gave you 3 innings, 3 earned runs. I'm gonna let that slide because Eric Lauer's been phenomenal this year. Vlad had the double, open up the score, phenomenal. Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman both hit home runs. What are you gonna do? That's Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman. And then Eric Lauer walks in a run, which gets it to 3-1. But we then get it gets to the point that Ty France, to all of you that said, "Oh, the decision when George and all these people come back, Ty France is DFA. That's fine, guys. No, you go DFA a guy who's hitting 350 since being on the Jays. He's hitting 350 since coming over, doing a phenomenal job." David Popkins, you miracle worker, has done it again in record time. You mean the guy with already good underlying numbers against left-handed pitching and underlying numbers this season is actually doing decent? But yeah, Ty France makes it 3-2 for the Dodgers at that point. And before we get into the final back half of the game, I need to reference the bullpen, some of the bullpen, because we'll get to one person specifically. Louis Varland. If you are not a Louis Varland fan now, I don't know what to tell you. Louis Varland went an inning and 2/3, gave Blue Jays everything they needed. an inning in you can inning in 2/3 out of Louis Varland, and then you go to Braden Fisher, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Brandon Little, Yariel Rodriguez. They used everybody in this game. I think aside from Tommy Nance, like they used quite literally everybody. Um, but then we get to I have to actually then you get Vladdy and Addison Barger back to back off of Blake Trinan to give the Jays the lead going into the bottom of the eighth inning. And Jeff Hoffman. 2/3 of an inning, 33 pitches, 10 strikes, 5 walks. Walked in the tying run, but got out of the eighth inning. Still a tied game. And then I'm bringing it up again. Ernie Clement, first pitch swinging off of Alex Vesia, goes yabo to left field, gives the Jays the lead back again, which what more can you say? It's Ernie Clement doing that. And then where I don't inherently agree with John Schneider's decision, was he kept Jeff Hoffman in the game. And Jeff Hoffman ended up walking 2 more people to bring it to 5 walks in 2/3 of an inning. And you get quite possibly the definition of the definition of magical season, the definition of magical moment, the definition of a guy stepping up. Mason Fluharty got asked to get Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts. Forget Mookie Betts. He got asked to get Shohei Ohtani with a 1-run lead, the bases loaded, and 1 out. And after a 9-pitch battle with Shohei Ohtani, he struck him out. Mason Fluharty struck out Shohei Ohtani in the game that was like all but scripted for Shohei Ohtani to hit a walk-off grand slam. Shohei Ohtani strikes out to Mason effing Fluharty. Like, and then gets asked to get, Mookie Betts, who, granted, Mookie Betts isn't having the greatest season, as I think most of us are aware. It's not been classic standard Mookie, but Mason Fluharty gets him. And Mason Fluharty retired 2 former MVPs with the bases loaded. The last player to do that was Trevor Hoffman in 2002 when he had to get Barry Bonds and Jeff Kent. That is insane. Do something that, like, the last player that did that. For reference, I'm going to age myself. I am 24. I am a 24-year-old man. Mason Fluharty just did that in my age 24, like, a year of living. The last time someone did that, I was 1 year old. I was maybe 1, depending on the month. Like, that is insane. And it just goes back to one of those things that it's been the MO of the Jays this entire year is 1 through 26. And you could even 1 through 30. You could say 1 through 34. Like, they just have guys coming up in big spots. Ernie Clement, like, we've talked ad nauseum about him, but Mason Fluharty, Braden Fisher, who we got from the Dodgers for Kevin Biggio, like Brendan Little, who we'll bring it up in a second. He was a Cub. He pitched for the Cubs. He pitched against the Jays when he was on the Cubs in 2023. So it's just guys that, like, get brought in, and they are doing it. And then you obviously have the big guy, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette. Those guys have been Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I don't want to get on a high horse because I think everybody and their mother would agree with the fact that, to the crowd that say Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is not clutch, please stop talking to them. They don't want they don't people that say the Vladimir Guerrero Jr. isn't clutch simply just don't want to like Vladdy and the contract he has. Because if say for example, if Vladdy's not giving you Shohei Ohtani numbers, people will immediately go, "Oh, that's a bad contract." And granted, is the contract going to age the best? It's 15 years. Probably not. Let's call a spade a spade. But Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is hitting 300. Before the series against the Cubs had 18, 19 home runs. He had an OPS of around 900, batting 300. Like, he's been really good. And he has an over 1,100 OPS after the All-Star break. Again, much like last season, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., every month his OPS has gotten better in that month from month to month, like he did last year. And remember what we all said about him last year? Oh my goodness. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. 2024, nothing will touch his 2021. 2024 are pretty damn close. In 2025, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has been so far in the second half everything we wanted out of him. He's been phenomenal in the second half of the season. In the second half after the All-Star break, it's technically not the second half because that started way earlier, which is another weird thing. But he's been everything that they needed him to be, especially considering George Springer has been down for the last 2 weeks dealing with a concussion, and that's losing the leader in OPS on your team, or like arguably like your best hit, arguably your best hitter this season in George Springer for 2 weeks. Sucked. But the Jays have battled through it because that's what good teams do. That's what great teams do, is battle through the adversity and the injuries and everything like that. And they have done that ad nauseum this season, which led them to be the first team in the American League to 70 wins. And that brings us to the Cubs series, because which started a couple of days ago. The Cubs series. There was a lot of interesting stuff happening going into that one. First off, Andres Jimenez is back, thankfully, and Buddy Kennedy, Buddy, we hardly knew ye. I not knew ye. You did a thing here, I guess. But Andres Jimenez is back finally. And it looks more like he's going to be in a platoon with Ernie Clement and or David Schneider. Like, he's going to be in the second place platoon between him and Ernie, which I don't think it has anything to do with Andres. Andres Jimenez was hitting before he went on the IL for the second time this season. So I don't think it's anything to do with typical production. It was the first game was Jose Barrios against Javier Assad, who's Javier Assad was making his season debut, which is interesting. It's August, but Jose Barrios didn't have his best stuff, and I think that's something that you can typically say about Jose Barrios these days. And part of me wonders, is Jose Barrios fighting through something? Because his velocity on the sinker, which is typically always been around 93 to 95, like at its peak, he was sitting 90, 91. And he gave up 4 walks in 5 1/3, and there is going to be the obvious question coming down the stretch of who is in the playoff rotation. And it's going to be 3 starters, most likely, because assuming the Jays stay where they are and they don't have to play in the wild card series, in the DS, you're going to use 3 starters. And a lot of it is very dependent on what happens in the back half in the next few months, especially with some people coming back. I'll mention a little later. And if Jose Barrios is pitching the way he is now, and the movement and the stuff like that, it's going to be, I think he's currently on the outside looking in for an ALDS start, which is a crazy thing to say about Jose Barrios, but that's just my personal opinion. But yeah, getting into this game, we started off early. Alejandro Kirk, RBI single, just continues the thing. Bo and Vlad, what a play on Nico Horner, who Nico Horner was getting robbed all of that first game because Nathan Lucas made a sliding catch in his first at bat. Bo and Vladdy, Bo deep throw from basically the outfield grass behind short, Vladdy with the split to get Nico Horner, who is a fast runner, like, which is insane. Um, and then again, Ernie Clement for the third straight game hits a bomb. This one's a 3-run bomb, puts him up 4-0. Uh, Tommy Nance gets into the game when it's 4-0. Gives up a run, but then Brendan Little gets Pete Crow, my chase rate, PCA. PCA. I'm trying to find a funny acronym that just talks about his chase rate, but I can't. So yeah, Pete Crow Armstrong chases a lot, and now it's finally coming back to earth because his numbers have been pretty good all year, but he has had an astronomically high chase rate, and he's been really good through that. But PCA this month is 3 for 37, and he's one of the guys that the Cubs need to get back going, get going again if they want to even think about catching the Brewers. But yeah, Brendan Little with the bases loaded gets PCA swinging, and Brendan Little throws. It goes here's 6 curveballs. Do anything with it, and PCA says I can't because you're just too good with them. And so yeah, Brendan Little strikes him out. It's beautiful, and then the king of the bomb currently, Dalton Varsho, no, makes it a 5-1 game. Dalton Varsho, 12 bombs. Are you kidding? It's 12 home runs. And he's played less than 40 games. 12 home runs in less than 40 games. That is an insane mark. And it really sucks to see because what would Dalton's season look like if he played 20 more games, 30 more games? He played the Jays have played 120 games. Dalton Varsho has played maybe 40, and he has 12 home runs. And it's very interesting to see how all of this is going to come together down the stretch and everything. Um, Game 2, I'll hop into it. Cade Horton and Kevin Gausman. Kevin Gausman, he's found some in the last bit here. He goes 7 innings, 2 earned runs, but unfortunately he got out. I can't even say outdueled because Cade Horton was phenomenal in this game. He didn't give up a hit until the 6th inning, which so happened to be when his scoreless inning streak ended at 29 when Vladdy hit a bullet down the line that if it's the year 2022 or 2023 is ties the game because Bo Bichette has somehow his speed has fallen off dramatically and it's very I want to say borderline concerning that his speed has fallen off this drastically, but yeah, it stays a 1-run game. Then the Cubs add on 2 more off of Braden Fisher with a Michael Busch sacrifice fly and a Seiya Suzuki base hit. But not much you could do there. It's a 4-1 game, but the important thing, Kevin Gausman goes 7 innings, 2 earned runs, and Kevin Gausman is again, I think, stamping his spot. He's trying to stamp his spot in this playoff rotation, and I think he's on the inside track to do it, very much so. And then I just want to round things out to get into today before I mention anything else. Game 3, which happened at the time of recording, I think ended maybe 30 minutes ago at the time of recording. Max Scherzer versus Matthew Boyd. This game flew by until it didn't. Matt Boyd and Max Scherzer, it got to like the 6th inning in like an hour and a half, and they both only gave up 1 hit really in that time. But Max Scherzer went 7+ innings, came out for the 8th, gave up a base hit, but then got pulled. 1 earned run, 5 hits, 1 walk, 3 Ks. Again, I'm referencing it again. Max Scherzer getting hot at the right time, putting together great starts, great outings. He did say in a when he was asked a little bit ago that a lot of the thumb issue is behind him now. And so now you see Max Scherzer hitting 95, 90, like 94, 95, 96 again. And it's just really Max Scherzer as a Toronto Blue Jay. The image is still hilariously weird to me, but it is what it is at this point, and but it's beautiful. And so he does that. Brandon Little gets into a little bit of trouble. He does give up a pass. He does give up a pass ball. Strikes out Ian Happ and Kyle Tucker, which phenomenal. And then John Schneider goes to Sir Anthony Dominguez. Sir Anthony Dominguez has not had the greatest like couple of times with the Jays so far. A couple of bad outings, but you still trust him. And he got Carson Kelly to swing and miss, and the crowd went ballistic. It's very Blue Jays baseball when the Jays are good. The Rogers Center, the fans, everybody there. Mwah, chef's kiss. Beautiful. And then Jeff Hoffman shuts the door, 3 Ks on Owen Casey, who was making his MLB debut, which is gets the Ks on Owen Casey, Willie Castro, and I am blanking, and Dansby Swanson. And this K with Swanson was a runner on second. So, yeah. I did mention Owen Casey. Shout out to Owen Casey, Canadian born, did play on the WBC team. From Toronto, I believe. I should actually double check this because I want to know myself. But yeah, did make his MLB debut. Very interesting that they did call him up. Okay, he's from Burlington. Apologies, that's Burlington. That's not I can't even say the GTA. The Burlington, Ontario. But made his MLB debut, and David Schneider promptly welcomed him by robbing him of a extra base hit on his first pitch that he ever saw. So, and David, all 3 outs that Owen Casey made, Owen Casey went 0 for 3, went to David Schneider. So, fun times there. But, yeah, Michael, the scoring did kick off. Michael Busch did hit a home run early on, like early-ish in the game. But other than that, Max Scherzer again, phenomenal. And we're going to bring it right back up. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. in the 7th inning. Casual 2-run bomb. He got it off the end of the bat, from like off the closer to the end of the bat, and still hit it out to left center field. That is how strong this man is. But again, it's not clutch, according to some people. According to some people, you ask, he's not very clutch. But it is what it is. The Jays in the last 6 games go 3-3. They really didn't gain or lose any ground or give up any ground on the Red Sox or Yankees or even Tigers, really, for the number 1 seed in the American League. So the Jays stay out in front. They now go into a gauntlet of starting pitching. This weekend they play the Texas Rangers. They do face Eovaldi, Patrick Corbin, who's been not the Washington Patrick Corbin, and then Jacob deGrom. And then they also face the Pittsburgh Pirates and Paul Skeens. So, yay! Fun times there for the Jays. But yeah. The Blue Jays, as it sits after today's win, 5 up on the Boston Red Sox. Five up on the Boston Red Sox. They are still 1 game ahead of the Detroit Tigers for the number 1 seed, and they are 3 games ahead of the Houston Astros for the number 2 seed in the American League. So, yeah, Jays. It's so weird that they are like, again, no matter how many times we say it on this podcast, no matter how many times you hear it, the Jays being a number 1 seed in the American League in the year 2025, weird as hell. Very weird. But we love it all the same. Then let me get some news and notes on the Jays. Very interesting week in Buffalo, to say the least. You had Andres Gimenez rehab games, but he's back now. Shane Bieber had another rehab outing in Buffalo, and it went fairly well. It went fairly well for Shane Bieber. 5 2/3, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 6 Ks, 1 walk, 14 whiffs. His fastball got up to 94 miles an hour and sat relatively around 92, 93 miles an hour, which perfect. 78 pitches, 54 strikes. That is the big thing when you're looking at a pitcher coming off of Tommy John. How is the control look? How does he look composed? Does he look like himself again? And Shane Bieber, you make the argument. Shane Bieber looks not better. Better is the wrong way to put it. He looks more like the Bieber of 19, 20, and 21 that had velo and instead of Bieber of 22-23 that was still good, but was hitting 90, 91, 92 maybe. But he's back up to 93 with the fastball, 94. That's a great sign for the Jays. And again, this all brings back to my common thread of this episode. What does this playoff rotation look like? Because if Shane Bieber comes back and is anything like the Shane Bieber we know, there's a strong chance that Shane Bieber is a playoff starter for this team. And then you also, again, you factor in Max Scherzer, who's been really good lately. Eric Lauer, who just had a bump in the road, but he's been phenomenal this year for the Jays. Kevin Gausman, who's found something, has found it again recently. I think the two main ones that are fighting the uphill battle, Chris Bassett and Jose Barrios. I think more so Chris Bassett. It's just like Bassett needs home field for him to. Bassett needs home field, and I don't. We obviously want. I think I am confident the Jays will get it, but you can't guarantee the home field, and you can't manage your rotation around the fact that a guy is terrible on the road compared to home. You need guys that will go in there every you trust, and I think the circle of trust right now is Max Scherzer, Chris Bassett, not Chris Bassett. I'm mixing up my own names. Max Scherzer, Kevin Gausman. I think Eric Lauer and Jose Barrios. Even though I talked about Barrios, I think him and Lauer are kind of on the same. It's more consistency versus it's more like year to year consistency versus current consistency is the Lauer Barrios debate. And then you get Shane Bieber, who you traded Cal Steven for at the deadline. If he's good, you're going to use Shane Bieber in the playoffs. Speaking of other other rehabs, Alek Manoah did have his rehab start in Buffalo. Now he tossed 3+. He tossed oh wait, I didn't. I had this. Damn it, I grabbed the wrong one. He tossed 3 innings in New Hampshire. I remember that was last week. But then in Buffalo, he went an inning and 2/3, which you don't love to see with Alek Manoah. But I think Alek, especially, I think now, because you don't necessarily need, you're not desperate for Alek Manoah to come back this season. I think what you could let Alek Manoah build up the rest of the season in Buffalo. Honestly, I don't think you need to bring him up and use him on the Jays roster because it adds a crunch that you necessarily don't need. Alek went inning and 2/3, 2 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, 1 K, 49 pitches, 27 strikes. So it doesn't look phenomenal for him. But again, the Jays don't necessarily need Alek Manoah this season, like I said. And I think for everybody involved, I think it'd be better if he stayed in AAA for now. But speaking of AAA, again, we got two more people to mention in AAA. George Springer finally cleared MLB's concussion protocol, and at the time of recording, he is about to play in his first game. He's about to play in his first rehab game, DHing for the Buffalo Bison. So fingers crossed that George is probably back sometime over the weekend. So that brings that roster crunch back into effect. But pitching in the George Springer game, ladies and gentlemen, pitching at his 4th level this season, Trey Savage. He's already in Buffalo. He started the year in Dunedin. So he's made Dunedin, Vancouver, New Hampshire, and now Buffalo. Is there an outside possibility that Trey Savage is seen an inning in a Blue Jays uniform this year? I wouldn't put it over 50%. Obviously, I'd say like there's like a 15-20% chance you maybe see Trey Savage at some point on the Jays, but I don't think you need it. The Jays are in such a good spot right now that they don't need guys like Trey Savage or Alek Manoah to boom come up and be important crucial pieces into this bullpen or this rotation. It's so weird. And yeah, but that kind of is what's happening. And another, I gotta I gotta bring this up just because it's very like it's unfortunate. So it came out in some news and notes around the Jays minor leagues that first round pick for a couple years ago, Brandon Barriera cannot catch a break. Brandon Barriera fractured his forearm and is out for the season again. Um, it's unfortunate to hear for Brandon Barriera, but what can you do, honestly? Um, it is unfortunate. He's still very young. He'll bounce back from this, but it's looking tough for him. Yeah. Another thing that came up that I will fully be transparent to everybody listening. Didn't know this was a thing. Um, Francis Romero came out and said the Jays are expected to sign 18-year-old Korean pitching prospect Moon. I will say this. I'm gonna butcher this name, so I apologize in advance. Moon Seo Jun, for a bonus of over $1 million during the current international free agent signing period. So thank you to that Roki Sasaki Miles Straw thing. The Jays had the money to sign Moon Seo Jun, and so yeah, he chose to skip the KBO draft and is electing to sign with the Blue Jays. So the Jays got another 18-year-old pitching prospect, this time out of Korea. So good for them. Lastly, Ali Sanchez DFA'd last time before last time we recorded. Claimed by the Red Sox because the great teams always got to get better, you know. But yeah, I think that is all on the Jays for this week on the flight deck. Let's move on to some in the league stuff. So the Minnesota Twins back in the news again. It has come out the Twins ownership previously was looking to sell, and so a lot of people's assumptions about the deadline, what they did was getting out of money and like Carlos Correa and all that stuff. And now it's come out that they went, oh no, it's fine. No, guys, we lied. We're gonna remain the principal owners of the Minnesota Twins. And now they look like a bunch of Jags. They've entered. They did for what? For why the whole sideshow of, oh, we're gonna sell the team. Oh, we just traded everybody. Oh, we're not gonna sell everybody now. Oops. It's just it brings more light to ownership in MLB being ridiculous all the ways around. Yeah. So Polad's why? You just but thank you for 5 years of Louis Varland. We'll take that though. We'll take advantage of your dumb bullshit. Next up, it did come out that the Blue Jays or the Blue Jays postseason schedule, but the postseason schedule in general did release. So the wild card series will go from the September 30th to October 2nd. And then the ALDS and NLDS will start on the Saturday, October the 4th. And the last game of the World Series will start October 24th, with the last game, if necessary, being on the Saturday, November the 1st. So we don't really do we get a Mr. November situation? Yeah, that overrated motherfucker. Damn it, I didn't want to. Dang it. But yeah. So the Blue Jays this year, it is. I'm not gonna say it's unfortunate. The Blue Jays will be probably, if they don't play in the wild card series, will be on Fox. But Jays fans, we obviously don't have to worry about that because we get Sportsnet. So we're gonna see Dan Schulman, and oh no, I buried the lead. Well, how do I'm almost 40 minutes into this recording. Welcome back, Buck Martinez. I should have said that way earlier. Buck Martinez is finally back with the Blue Jays as well. I almost went this whole episode and just didn't bring up Buck Martinez being back. It was great to hear him. Great to hear his phone. Love you, Buck. Uh, great to hear his like the one knee rants. It's just good. It's Blue Jays baseball with Buck Martinez in the booth is phenomenal. I've heard people say it. Put that man on the level of excellence. Player with the Blue Jays, manage the Blue Jays. One of the best broad. What I think you can easily make the argument he's the best Blue Jays broadcaster. Blue Jays play-by-play color. What hasn't Buck Martinez done for the Blue Jays? He's done everything, and he's in our intro for the podcast. He's in the intro. Swinging a drive is top tier home run call. So yeah, welcome back, Buck Martinez. I apologize for not bringing it up way earlier in this episode, but yeah, Buck Martinez is back and we love it. And so yeah, the playoffs. Got everybody if you can get those days off. Figure out like with the DS and all that. Saturday, October 4th, Jays game 1 DS, baby. Let's go. We in there like swimwear. Lastly, I'll just go over the injuries. So Luis Severino, he goes on the IL, which I guess is a he went on about 5 days ago with a left oblique strain. Josh Hader went on the IL with a shoulder strain. Now, that is huge for the Astros. Hader's been phenomenal this year for them. And he now is apparently going to be, by reports, he's going to be on there longer than 2 weeks. So that's really big for them. They're going to ask a lot more of Brian Abreu out of the bullpen. They're going to ask a lot more of guys like Stephen Okert, Brian King. And so, yeah, let's see how they continue to heat up because the Mariners are right on their heels. Trade deadline acquisition for the New York Yankees. Ahmed Rosario went on the IL. And so now, and I'll bring it up here, Paul Goldschmidt might be on the IL, going to the IL as well. So that is the three of the better left options for the Yankees against left-handed pitching. Austin Slater, Ahmed Rosario, and now potentially Paul Goldschmidt going on the IL. But you know, it's the Yankees. They're 6.5 back. I don't really care, but it's just interesting to see. Then we got a couple more players going to be out for the rest of the season. Shane McClanahan is going to be out for the year, getting surgery to handle a long-lasting nerve issue that he's apparently been having. So wish you best of luck in that, Shane. And then finally, a team that is in last place, but obviously we got to bring up the Trash Birds, the Baltimore Orioles. They will be without Zach Eflin and Jose Bautista, Felix Bautista for the rest of the season. Eflin's getting lower back surgery, and then Felix Bautista is getting significant shoulder surgery. So it's very interesting. Eflin is a free agent after this year. He has already said that he would love to go back to the Orioles, but yeah, that's all the injury stuff for this week and on this episode. And I think that is it. I don't know how I turn me talking to just a camera into basically almost 40 minutes every time I have to do this, but I do. And I hope you guys enjoyed listening and watching. As always, links for the socials will be in the description. We should be back next week. We'll see how Brant's feeling with the concussion, and we'll see if Nate can join us. As always, keep it locked on the flight deck, and signing out. Peace.